Hey, Erin, I'm so glad that you are here on the Sarah Hall Show. And I am so happy that we're going to dive in headfirst to your story. And let's just start by saying who you are, what you do, how you got into this entrepreneur world. I just want to get this thing rolling.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I feel like we've known each other for like
I
probably
know.
going on 2.5, 3 years now.
Can we tell the
And
story about when we first started chatting? Like, tell everybody like how we met and like what we
yes.
talked about.
Oh my gosh. So this was probably like maybe mid 2020, like fall, summer-ish. I don't even remember, but it was
Yeah.
definitely in 2020. And I started following you because I think someone else, another dietitian told me about you. And I love cats and animals. So I always have all these rescue cats in my house. And so Sarah was posting her cat Nibbles.
Yes,
And so
Nibbles.
we just got to chatting about our cats. And like, I think I had one at the time, like a foster cat that looked just like Nibbles or
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but we just started talking about our cats. So
Well,
that's how we met.
it's very interesting. And I'm sure we'll get into more of like connections and genuine connections. And like, I've literally made my best friends online, and so many people are so scared to talk to people. I'm like, dude, I've literally made my best friends. I have clients that get off Zoom or get off chats and say, I love you, Sarah. You've changed my whole life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But so many
Yeah.
people just think that connecting online is just ew and icky. And I think we'll probably flow through that as we go along today because I mean,
Yeah.
you've struggled with connections and feeling genuine. I've struggled with connections and feeling genuine, but I definitely think it's an evolution of something to get used to. And but it just goes to show like now we've been like glued at the hip for almost 3 years and it's worked together off and on, and it's like all because we decided to get to know each other first and talk about something as small as a cute little cat.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how you start to like know and trust each other and like each other. And you're like, okay, I want to get to know this person more.
Yeah.
And whether that turns into like a client or not, like it's just so nice to just connect with people and make friends and everything. So it's been good.
Yeah. So tell everybody a little bit more about your history and
Yes.
like how you got to say like I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to do this thing.
Yes, absolutely. So I going like way back, I got an interest in like nutrition and fitness towards the end of high school. I wasn't really involved in like many sports or anything. And so just like working out was just like my hobby. So once I got to college, I was doing like pre-med stuff and just realized it wasn't really for me, but I still wanted to stay with something science related. So I realized that the nutrition program was really similar to what I was doing already. So I kind of shifted over to that. I became a personal trainer. So I was training clients. I was making my own workout plan to try to see the results that I wanted personally. And I just realized like nutrition was the factor that was lacking for so many women and the results that they wanted. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to do the whole thing here and become a dietitian. So did my internship, all that. And of course, like so many of us, I went straight into clinical, started working at one of the biggest hospitals. I'm in Houston, Texas, which is huge for medical care. People come from all over the world here. So I was at a great hospital, but I just felt like I wasn't making a huge difference with any of the patients or clients that I saw because a lot of them, I was going into their room because the insurance was telling me to, or the doctor was telling me to. And these people didn't even want to be there, of course. I mean, they're hospitalized, they're not having a good time. And a lot of them, the least of their worries is their body weight or their A1C, even. Like they just want to get out of there and move on with life and feel better, you
Mhm.
know? And so me going in there with a pamphlet about carb counting, like it just wasn't really helping anyone. And I never got to talk to those people again, usually, because they would be discharged and on their way. And also the pay was like, okay, this is not really the lifestyle that I pictured for myself. And even the manager, the food service manager, highest position I ever could have gotten in that hospital, she was still making a fraction of what I personally wanted for myself. And she was at the top. So kind of those factors of, okay, I really want to make a difference. I want to help people transform their life, avoid ending up in the hospital, see long-term results, change their lifestyle. I want to do that, but then also have a certain lifestyle for myself and build a business that I'm really proud of, while also helping people. And for me, the answer to that was starting my own thing because I wasn't finding it anywhere else. So
Yeah.
that's when I started Fit Chick Nutritionist. That's my name on Instagram. And I specialize in like women's weight loss, really focused on like healthy habits, behavior change, mindset. I do a lot of mindset stuff with my clients. Not really a big fan of any sort of diets. I think all foods should fit into a regular lifestyle. And so I help people just get more comfortable with those healthy habits so they can really get the results they want without having to be too strict or crazy. Cause I've been there and it was not fun. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my journey.
I've definitely been there too with the restriction. I think, well,
Yeah.
if you're a dietitian listening to this, there was some story that led you into being a dietitian, and that's just kind of a normal thing for us. I think we come from some sort of dieting background or some sort of restrictive background or food allergies or something like that. But I think no matter what someone does for their job, if they're listening to this right now, I'm sure that they're relating to the fact that you felt like you were in this hamster wheel, so to speak. And I think almost every person that I do interview here on the Sarah Hall Show usually says that, like, I outgrew my position or I wasn't getting paid enough. And I remember, like, I would just wait for the end of the year to get like a $600 bonus that would barely cover two presents for my kids, and like a 1% raise every year. And asking a boss for a time off, like for time off during the holidays and like birthdays and like Valentine's parties and stuff like that. That is just not, I think the majority of us end up growing out of that life and wanting that life, and some people do it earlier where they are like, oh, I just graduated from college, whatever it may be, whether it's dietitian or, some other type of profession. And they know they want to become an entrepreneur. And then other times it takes a little while, get some experience, and then realize, oh, giving out carb booklets at bedside, or maybe you're, if you're listening to this and you're a nurse or some other type of service provider or coach, like it's okay to grow out of what you're doing and grow into something bigger, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It
So
it
what,
felt very limited with
yeah,
everything. Like even
yeah,
as a personal trainer, I was like, there's personal trainers that do really great and have,
yeah,
make six figures, sure. But to get to that point, like I would still have to, I wasn't going to get that from working at an LA Fitness or Gold's Gym. Like I still would have had to go out on my
yeah,
own, and if you just, I felt very much in a box with these personal trainer opportunities and dietitian opportunities that were coming up. They just all kind of felt cookie cutter and the same. The income always capped off at a certain
yeah.
place. And the impact I was making also felt like it was capping off the impact for my clients. So it just wasn't really where I wanted to go.
Yeah, so you took action on that, you know?
Yep.
So let's talk about that first moment where you were like, I think I want to start a business. Cause I remember when I don't think I even said I want to start a business. I think I said, I need to make more money. That was what I said. And I
Yeah.
didn't really think about business back in 2013 to 2015. I don't think it
Yeah.
dawned on me that I could do a business because back then you just went to a job and that's what you did. You
Yeah.
either found a job that paid more and then you went on to that job, or you got a promotion, right? And I was in the same boat as you when it comes to promotions. Like, you know, it was like a 2% salary increase. It was nothing. And you can
Yeah.
do that in a day, in your business. So when you first said to yourself, Erin, I think it's time to make more money, or I think it's time to start a business, like, what'd you do next?
Yeah, great questions. So I feel like as far back as I can remember, when people would ask me about like being a dietitian or a trainer, they'd be like, "Oh, what do you want to do with that?" And I never
Yeah.
really said like, "Oh, I want to go into clinical or I want to work
Yeah.
at a hospital." I always said like, "I want to have a wellness company or like do wellness services." Like I didn't really know what that meant, but that was
Yeah.
like my general answer. So I was like, I want to do my own thing, but I pictured myself at like 35, 40 years old doing that. And then as I got into the field, I was like, oh, like that's for other people. Like other people start their own businesses. I don't really do that. Like my peers, my family, we don't really do that. That's just what other people do. It just, my mind just kind of always ran that way when I really thought about it. But then really the turning point for me is kind of a personal story. This was back in 2018, I believe. I was working at the hospital, making crap money. I was dating someone at the time. It was not going very well. It was looking like I was probably going to move out of our apartment that we shared. And he made a comment at one point. I don't think he meant it maliciously, but he said something along the lines of, "You will never make as much money as me. It's just not going to happen. You need to accept that. Like if we're trying to build this future together, I will always make more money. And that's just kind of how it is." And within probably a month or two, I had broken up with him and and started
Girl,
my
you should, yeah,
yeah.
leave that baggage behind, honey.
No, we don't have time for that. And that was over the summer. I remember it was summertime. And that same summer, I started my Fit Chick Nutritionist Instagram. and was like, all right, I'm doing this. I hired my first business coach, which so glad I found you instead of that person. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
We digress.
Yeah. So all around that same time, I was like, okay, I don't want to be the person who is not the breadwinner in the family. I don't want to depend on someone else. That's just if that works for other families, that's totally fine. But for me, I was like, I'm independent right now. I never want anyone to say to me again, you'll never make as much as me. I was like, it's not even about the money. It was like, I want to make an impact. I want to be someone that people look to and they're like, wow, she did that. Like, look at what she's doing. Look at the difference she's making. And no one handed that to her. She's not working for some big corporation. Like, she did that. And just that feeling really kind of put the fire under my butt to really, really get into it.
That is amazing. I didn't even know that story, and I've known you for so long, but
I know.
it's just sad to say. But, I actually have a post coming out about this. And by the time this episode airs, I probably already put the post out. But it's about being a breadwinner and how I feel like roles are reversing now. Gender roles are not what they used to be. But so many males still live in this mindset of like, you are supposed to birth the children. You're supposed to do the dishes. You're supposed to do the cooking. And I actually have my husband going to come on an episode about how over our 22 years together, we didn't really reverse those roles, but we were open back and forth to, hey, this is how I used to do things before being an entrepreneur. But now, like, it's okay to transition into being the breadwinner and a man being okay with that. Totally not what our episode is about today, but it's like so interesting how I think it's more the norm. Like in this post I'm making, I think it's more the norm that a woman is the breadwinner now, and a strong male presence will actually be okay with that. So
Yeah,
that's a lesson,
absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Yes, and it's just so empowering. Like I think kind of a good word to describe this whole experience, like working with you, starting my own business, it's so empowering. Just to not have any limits anymore
Yeah.
to what I can achieve, what money I can make, who I can help. It's very empowering.
Yeah, and you have control over things. You have control over if you work today or not. You have control over, your well, actually there's no income cap on what we do.
Yeah.
Like you can have control over that, but then there's also days, right? Like maybe we should talk with this for a little bit cuz like me on my podcast, I'm not going to just promote all the good stuff and not talk about the struggles because we're going to have good days and bad days, but in my opinion, even the bad days where I still have control of my schedule, I still have control over when I pick up my kids, I still have control over cuddling with my animals or my husband, whatever it may be. Like, we have control over that. Even on a bad day in business, I'm sure you would say, I would freaking take that over going back to a hospital any day.
I agree 100%. And this past weekend is actually a really good example of that. My birthday was on Friday. Some of our best friends from college got married on Saturday. They were up in Austin, so we took like a little road trip to get up there. And I was just thinking like all of our other college friends who went to that wedding, who I'm
Mhm.
still very good friends with most of them, they were stressing about how many days they had to take off work. Several
Yeah.
of my friends work for the same company. They are required to work every single Saturday, 9 to 5 every Saturday, not to mention every weekday as well. They were stressing about having to take 2 days off of work, and then they had to get back at a certain time for work on Monday. And I didn't give it a second thought because
Yeah.
everything I do is virtual. I got 2 clients over the weekend while I was out of town at a wedding and made almost $2,000 yesterday when they signed. Like, what?
Yeah.
And I could just pick up and leave for my birthday, for a wedding, whatever, and still have a great time and not be stressed about it. I could never do that with any other job.
Yeah. It's just, there's so much opportunity, even though it's probably one of the harder things that we all will do, and maybe entrepreneurship isn't for everyone, but I personally think it is. As long as you develop yourself personally. And I think you've done a lot of that. And so let's talk for a second about like bad days as an
Oh yeah.
entrepreneur. Let's just be honest about it. Like, what do you feel like when you're having a bad day? And I know we work a lot on this. You work a lot with our mindset coach Sid in the program as well, which is why I have him. But like, I just want to normalize bad days. So,
Mhm.
what do you have to say about the mix of good versus, and I don't even want to use the word good and bad. It's just like labeling food good as bad, right? Good and bad,
Yeah.
right? Like, let's just say it's neutral, but like there are some days that are not as amazing and awesome. And then other days where you're like, everything is lining up. This is awesome. But with that comes the pendulum swings of our moods, right? If we're making sales, we're high. If we're hearing yeses, we're high. If we're getting $2,000 deposit or a $10,000 deposit, we're high. But when we're not seeing those things, sometimes, we can feel low. And I just want to normalize that that's okay. The only goal as an entrepreneur is like, can we bridge that gap a little bit where that pendulum doesn't swing so drastically?
Yeah.
And maybe you've seen that the pendulum swings are getting better, but I just want you to share about good days versus bad days or like days that don't
Yeah.
seem as amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you've seen this firsthand with me. I know when we did my roadmap for this month, getting ready for
Yeah.
this new month, I was like, that we could call that a bad day.
Yeah.
Whenever I filled that out and I was checking in with you. And there's so many different things that can affect like a quote unquote good day or bad day. And
Yeah.
like you just said, I think that really a lot of it for many people is how much money are you making? Are you making sales? Are people interested in your service? And if they're not, it can just feel like, what am I doing? This is really ruining my confidence. Am I wasting time? Should I get just like a 9 to 5 job at a hospital? Like what's going to happen? It's like all these feelings of just like being unsure. I would say that's like a big part of those kind of not so great days is
Yeah.
just the confidence can really go down. But one thing that, and like Sid last night, our mindset coach and EBM, he talked about this last night that helped me so much was like, okay, well, is quitting an option? Like, are you thinking about quitting? And no, the answer is always going to be no to that, because I know that the alternative is to go back and work at a hospital or be personal training people in a gym that I don't want to be in,
Yeah.
and having so many limits and not being able to help people the way that I want to. That's the alternative if I quit. And so that's really something as simple on these days where I'm like, I literally can't do this anymore. Whatever might be affecting that. I just ask myself every single time, okay, well, Erin, do you want to quit? Is this it? Is this the end of Fit Chick Nutritionist? Do you want to go ahead and stop? And every time I'm like, what? No, of course
Yeah.
not. No matter how bad the day is, it's always like, of course not. I'm not going to quit. And so that's what brings me right back in. And so much of it is mindset. And that's another reason why I'm so thankful to have Sid in the program. I know when we first started working together, going on 3 years ago, he wasn't there yet. And your
Yeah.
program was still, EBM was still amazing. But having him is just adds this like extra layer that helps me, of course, but also stuff I learned from him. It helps me help my clients even better. Like,
Oh my
I
gosh.
feel like,
Yes.
yeah, like I'm a better coach, a better dietitian from stuff that I learned from you guys, which is so valuable to me, but that's a whole nother thing.
Well, it's truly why I added that layer and that component. And it's always about evolution, right? Like, as coaches, it doesn't matter what level of coaching you get to, you should always be looking to be better, do
Yeah.
better, give a better service. And a lot of my clients in my program are now adding like adjunct coaches, like mindset coaches, or dietitians are adding trainers, or trainers are adding dietitians. And I just think that just levels up the service even more. But one of the big reasons, I mean, what's my famous Sarah Hall quote? Your business will never outgrow your mindset or your belief. Like, dudes, I have it on a t-shirt. Confidence comes with reps. Like, I have it on my merch line. And that's where I really said, like, I do a lot of mindset work with you guys, but I also love the strategy side, because in business, there's got to be mindset and strategy married. And so that is where, Sid was birthed into the program almost not quite 2 years ago. Um, but one thing that you mentioned about sales, and I think this comes into like, yes, mindset is wonderful about this, but one thing that's practical, right? Because if we look at mindset and business strategy, sales can happen every day. The likelihood of them happening every day is dependent upon where we are in business, or what you do, or someone else's mood, right? If they want to buy today or not. Like, but instead of looking at sales like every day, Erin, too, like we should look at sales like, you know what? I have 30 days in this month, or 28 or 31, depending on the month, right? But I have 30 to 31 days in a month. And let's just use an example. You recently had 5, I think, applicants, and then it felt like nothing was happening. And then bam, all in one day, 2 of them enrolled, correct?
Yep.
So it's like, maybe the day they applied, they didn't buy, but like having the patience of like, you know what? A month runs from the 1st to the 30th or the 31st for the most part, right? Like sometimes it's just having the patience in sales to say, as long as they sign up before the end of the month, they still count, right? Like
Yeah.
to me, like that's like the practical side to tell yourself. And that way you don't get so stressed out sometimes. And hopefully everyone that's listening to this is taking this as a lesson, because controlling our mindset and our happiness and like emotional regulation, which you're learning, is so key. Whether someone says yes or no, like we have to emotionally regulate, because some will and some won't, right?
Yeah.
um and then sometimes they come back the next month, right? So if we have 2 out of the 5, maybe those other 3 will join next month, you know?
Mhm.
But I love that we're talking about this, because like not every day is going to be perfect, but it's still going to be better than the opposite of like, oh, I'm going to go back to training 50 clients in a gym every month or something like that, you know?
Exactly. Like even last week on Friday, when I had all those applications come in, half of them were ghosting me, not even responding, even though they reached out to me. So that was really frustrating me. I had to get all my animals situated so I could go out of town. I had all this
Yeah.
family stuff I was dealing with. That was not a good day for me, honestly. And that was one of those days where I was like, should I just quit? Like, is this too overwhelming? But even on one of my worst days like that, I'm
Yeah.
still so I do a lot of check-ins with my clients on Thursdays and Fridays. I'm getting
Mhm.
messages from clients saying like, oh my gosh, this week is going so great. I have a client that just started up with me less than a week ago, and she sent me a message saying how incredible she feels. She's so happy she did this. She's feeling so confident. And so it's been less than a week. I'm also getting all of those messages from people on that same day, on Friday
Right.
last week. That was
Mhm.
otherwise a really tough day. And so it just kind of pulls me back again, the mindset of like, okay, am I going to let these couple of people who aren't even clients right now, maybe they will
Right.
be in the future, am I going to let these couple people ruin me today? Or am I going to stay strong and confident and awesome for my clients that I already have, who are so happy and who are seeing incredible results? Like that's, you just kind of have to remember like what are you doing this for, and are you going to let these individual things like dictate you and your mood and your confidence and your value? And I'm guilty of letting it get me down, but just
We
having
all
these,
are though. It's
oh
it's
yeah,
okay, you know? Yeah.
yeah, and knowing how to pull yourself out of that
Yeah.
is, for me, what has allowed me to level up in my business. And I notice when maybe I'm not having the best month or I'm having these negative thoughts, it's when I'm not taking care of myself and my mentality. Like it's directly correlated between how many clients I have, how much money I'm making, the effort I'm putting in. It is so related to my mindset and my attitude. So it's so
Mhm.
important to work on that, I think.
Yes, emotional regulation. I feel like it's important even in your own clients though. So do you see some, like with how you work with women that come in and like maybe they come to you and they want to drop a couple jean sizes and they're like in 7 days, they're like, but Erin, I haven't lost 15 pounds yet. Like, what's wrong with your program? You know, like how do you deal and use the mindset transition that you're using? And also the fact that some days are great, some days are not so great. Some weeks they're going to probably feel like they're hitting all their habits, changing all their lifestyle. The next week, life hits them in the face and then they have a quote bad week, right? How do you also play that into your own coaching with your clients? Because I'm sure it plays a role.
Oh yeah, totally. And that kind of like I was saying earlier, like why I appreciate you and Sid so much is like I've learned so much to help myself, but then also roll over into my clients.
Yeah.
And I feel like my clients are getting better results now that I've brought like a mindset and attitude workshop basically into my program. And I have several videos like in my evergreen program about that. I talk about it almost every week in our weekly Zoom calls. And I feel like they're getting better results now because of that. And so honestly, a lot of the tips that I give them and advice that I give them, it's stuff that I've even used for myself that I've
Hmm.
seen work. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes even just sharing that with them, like, look, so and so, I totally get what you're saying right now. I relate so hard to what you're saying. I want to share something with you that has really, really helped me personally. I've seen it help tons of other people. Why don't we try this to work on X, Y, and Z for your mindset, whatever it might be? And I think them hearing like, okay, as an expert, this person is recommending I try this.
Hmm.
I really look up to her. She's super nice. She's been helping me. She said this worked for her. Okay, I want to give it a shot. And it's just helped so much. And like, even just one example, a client yesterday, she's really been struggling with just like self-sabotage. Like, she started out great like a month ago. And then, just like you were saying earlier, life has hit her in the face with lots of stuff. And she just sabotages herself all throughout the day. So I was like, let's do a little exercise. I want you to write out on Voxer, what would like a perfect day look like to you? Like a quote unquote on track day. What time would you wake up? What would your morning routine look like? What would you have for lunch? Like, let's just look at what a great day would look like for you. And then let's kind of look, where are the holes? What's keeping you from achieving that great day? You don't have to do it every day, but
Hmm.
what's getting in the way of, like, let's say today compared to that great day? What happened? And she was like, oh my God, this helped me so much. Like, I've just been thinking about all these goals in the future that I want, but I'm not looking at like, what is that going to look like today? What do I need to do today to get that? And just having her write out just simply mindset decisions throughout the day, it helped her so much with just changing that mindset a little bit to get out of self-sabotage mode for a little while. So that's just one example.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't matter the transformation. Like I said earlier, if they're self sabotaging, if their mindset and their belief, like if they don't even believe that what they're doing with you is going to pay off, they're gonna go backwards and self-sabotage, and it's the same thing in business. But
Yeah.
don't you truly believe like a lot of your skills as a coach have gotten better because you actually have personally developed, you're making the effort to change your own mindset, your own belief, you're getting help from not only one but two coaches within the program, right? So many people just try to strong arm this. It's like, let me just strong arm building a business, and instead of like getting help that then bleeds over into their own program. It's
Yeah.
just mind blowing to me how we want to be coaches but we're not willing to go like hire other coaches to figure out the freaking problem, like I don't get it.
It's so true. It's so ironic almost, because
Yeah.
even like our call last night with Sid, he reminded me, Erin, what are you doing every day to work on this? What's your morning routine look like? And I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, I've been slacking on that. Something I just told my client to do. And I have
Yes, we're our
Sid.
own worst critic.
Exactly. So if I didn't have Sid there last night to remind me of that, today could have maybe been a really bad day again, like last week. But
Yeah.
yeah, if we want people out there to invest in us and to sign up for our program, and we know how valuable that is and how we can change their life, what's keeping you from also having that experience and also changing your life? You can get that, and you will get that from a coach. And I'm biased to you, obviously, because you're the best, but
And I love you
uh,
too.
yes, because I mean, I've worked with my fair share of business coaches, and just the quality of my business, my life, my mindset, the results my clients get, the quality was never there, in my opinion, until I joined EBM and like started working with you. Because it really is just like a whole package thing. It's like, if I want my clients to get a certain level of results and to invest in themselves the way I know it'll pay off, like I have to be doing that too. And trying to do that all on my own while also managing 15, 20 clients at a time, it just wasn't realistic. I was not going to get the best results for anyone involved, basically. So I'm just so thankful for you and everything.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm sure your clients feel the same about you too, because it doesn't matter what sort of coach you're looking to invest in. I mean, it could be mindset, it could be nutrition, it could be fitness, like any transformation. I mean, sure, people can like figure it out maybe sometimes, but that's not the average. And I feel like so many women, particularly when it comes to like dieting, they've tried to figure it out for so freaking long. It's like, I just feel like there needs to be like a big, huge green light out there that says, you've been trying to figure this out on your own. Like, come in and let the professional help you. So let's transition back to your coaching a little bit. What would you say has been like a breakthrough for you, maybe in your business model or your offer that really has supported, your clients at a higher level and been able to make breakthroughs within them too? Is there something that stands out to you?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say I've kind of had a couple breakthroughs. I think the first one was in January of 2021 when you and I launched my first Evergreen program.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of doing just like purely one-on-one, I now had a group of people where it's like a hybrid, right? Of a lot of one-on-one support, but also some group stuff. So we started that together. I know, again, it was 2021. And then now, a little over 2 years later, basically the same program, similar format, but I've really refined sort of the things that I focus on with my clients. And I think I learned a lot of that from you and Sid, like what's really going to help with like the behavior change aspect. So my program is called Fit Foundations, and there's basically 3 things that I focus on in that program, and they're all equally important. I think so many people out there, when they're trying to lose weight or tone up or eat healthier, they go straight to like the strict diet and the cardio, right? And I got to be in a calorie deficit, and there's just these classic things that we all think of that people go towards for weight loss. But what I've really learned is like these foundational things that affect results, affect your life, affect your mental health. We've got to work on all of those first before you're going to get any sort of weight loss results. You can lose 30 pounds relatively quickly doing certain things, but those results are not going to last if you haven't developed healthy habits, if you're not in a good space mentally, if you're afraid to eat certain foods. So we have to address all of that first. And it's not that I wasn't focused on those things beforehand, but I've really refined that the last, I would say, 4 months, and made it super clear like what we focus on and why it's important. I've like made that more clear in my content, I think, too, on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's kind of been the second breakthrough for me of like, okay, now I have this great program. Let me make sure it's super clear and obvious why it's important and why it's helpful and what we focus on.
Yeah, and then when you're more clear, obviously more people are like, "Oh, that's why I need Erin," or "Oh, that's why I need to keep doing what Erin's telling me to do," because then they actually get clarity, and it's just like this full circle thing. You have worked on your mindset and belief, you're being more clear, they're figuring it out, and it also allows you to be a little bit more direct with your clients too about what they really need, because they don't often see what they really need, and it takes you being like able to stand up and say, hey, you know what, here's what I hear you saying, but this is actually what you need instead, and that's just my professional advice, and I think that it helps you like gently call out your clients, not only, or potential clients, not only on social media, being more clear about their problems, but also being more clear about how the heck you can fix them.
Exactly. Yeah. Just showing them that there is a solution out there for you, and I have it all laid out in one program for you. And then you have me, an expert, there to pretty much hold your hand and help you get through it. Like, it's there. You just got to do it. You got to invest in yourself.
Yeah. So what would you tell somebody if they were looking to start a business? Like, what's one piece of advice or something you would say, man, I wish I'd have knew this before I started a business?
First thing is, so the first thing I would say if someone is wanting to start their business is there's a lot that you can figure out on your own. There's so many great free resources out there, just like there is for any, like my own clients that want to lose weight. I don't really teach them anything that's like this mind-blowing secret information that they can only get from my program. It's having that accountability from someone else and having all this information out there about starting a business and how to do this, how to do your website, how to do Instagram. There's so much information out there, but having it all in one spot with someone that can really help you customize it. I kind of wish I had done that sooner, or at least with a person that really, really knew what they were talking about. I tried to figure out a lot of stuff on my own, and it was fine. I saw some progress, and it was a great learning experience. Yeah. So when I first got started, like there's so many great free things out there online. Like the internet is limitless of all the things that you can learn about starting a business and how to, set up your clients online and opening a website and Instagram marketing. There's so much information out there, and I used a lot of it when I first started, and it was helpful. Like it was fine. I got started basically, but my confidence level was really low. I never felt like I was doing the best thing to, reach people. The amount of clients I was not getting was showing that I wasn't really doing the best thing. And so I did invest in a business coach eventually, but I don't think it really was. I didn't do enough research even on that person to decide if it was the best fit for me. So all that to say, I think if I could go back, I think at the beginning, having that experience of trying some things on my own, it was great. It was a good learning experience. I don't know if I would do that differently, but I don't know if I would have waited a couple of years to hire a coach like of your quality, right? Because I just see like I know in 2021, I was able to buy a house with all the money I made from working with you. And I'm like,
Yes.
damn, if I had gotten this help sooner, that could have been 2 years sooner, right? And it's all meant to be. Like it all works
Yeah.
out in its own timeline. But it's just interesting to see like how much you can progress and the results that you want. Like you can get them faster when you do it smart and you have the right tools and you get people to help you, people that have done it before. Just like my own clients, like I created my program to be something that I wish I had when I was
Yeah.
struggling with my weight and I wasn't seeing progress and I didn't know what to eat. So I was like, let me create an answer to old Erin to help someone like that. And anyway, it's just been great to have that help from you. And I do wish I had maybe done that a little sooner, but we're here now and it's great.
Yeah, and the lesson is no matter what transformation, like if somebody's looking to lose weight and they want to work with you, or they're looking to build a business and they want to hire a business mentor, or maybe they need mindset help, it's like I think the lesson in this is like it's okay to try certain things on your own, but like the faster you can just be okay getting someone that's an expert to help you, your timeline becomes much tighter on getting results because now we don't have to piecemeal and guess and try to, like for weight loss, for example, like go to Google today, go to Pinterest tomorrow, go to YouTube the next day, and like piecemeal some sort of weight loss program together that may work for someone else, but may not necessarily work for your particular client. So asking for help and then also doing the timeline, right? Like we can shorten the timeline to get to X result if we just invest in someone that knows what the heck they're doing. And I think it's a lot of peace of mind too.
Oh yeah.
Because just having like your clients, I'm sure they're like, oh, okay, I can breathe. Now I have Erin. She's going to tell me exactly what I need to do. She's going to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
She's going to be there when I have not so good of a day or when I have an amazing day and we can celebrate. And you're just there for them all the time versus like Google, who can't be emotional with them.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's so true. And that's kind of the second point of like what I maybe wish I had done differently starting out is having more of a support system and
Yeah.
having people, unlike that guy that I was dating that
Yes.
wasn't super supportive. Even some of my own family members were like, are you sure you want to do this? Like I had a family member that was sending me like links to other dietitians practices and saying like, why don't you just go work for them for a while? Like, why do you need to start your own thing? Yeah. And so
Wow.
yes, if I had had more of an environment around me with like other women, like EBM, for example, having hundreds of other women that have gone through this program, maybe even thousands at this point, who we
Yeah.
could all talk to and relate to, and keeping friends close and family members close who do support you. One of my closest friends, we met as personal trainers back in the day. She owns a really successful meal prep company now. We have always, even when life gets crazy, we stay in touch. We always take time to get coffee and to bounce ideas off of each other because she gets the struggle. And as an entrepreneur, you can honestly feel kind of alone. Like even my own family members, my own boyfriend, who's amazing, like when I'm complaining about something or I'm stressed about something, like they just don't get it. Someone who maybe has a set 9 to 5 schedule and they get the same salary every 2 weeks. It's so different when you're doing this yourself. And so having that support system, I think from day one is super duper important. And if for some reason you don't have that, I think that's even more reason to have a coach like Sarah to be in your corner. Like there's no value you can place on that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's peace of mind. I love having people to bounce ideas off of, and I love bouncing ideas off of you guys and like hearing you out and like saying, "Well, Erin, I've been there too." I think that's the other thing is just knowing that you're not crazy. Like knowing that, there are days where I get 6 no's in a row as well, but the one yes that follows that is way more valuable to me. But just
Yeah.
hearing, like I've been there too, and having that like bridge with your clients, even in your coaching, my coaching, other types of coaches coaching, it's like that's what clients need, is that bridge of like, me too. I've been there. That's why I created this program. We're in this thing together. And I'm not just like this perfect dietitian trainer, right? Like I actually struggled as well. And that's why I created my 3-part system. And that is so powerful that you can tell your clients and then they're investing in you to be able to see that main, difference while working with you. So last thing, girl, what are you most excited about for 2023? What are you excited about?
Well, I would say that I know the goals that we've set together, and you and I know those, all those things that we've talked about. I'm super excited about all of those. I'm confident in them. They feel doable because I know I have the support and I know I've done it before. And it's so nice to have just like that plan in place, basically
Yeah.
have it all in one spot. I'm super excited about that. I'm excited about different like collaborations I have coming up. I'm excited for how my program is growing and just different things that I'm always adding to my program and tweaking a little bit based on feedback to make it better. Like I'm always trying to be the best and always trying to improve. And so I'm just excited to see like where I go specifically with those improvements and how I myself and my program can get even better.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. And last thing, I want to commend you on something, and it's this new, like, I think it's a new concept in the coaching space, but in my opinion, it's been something that's been valuable for me, is long-term coaching, or long-term, mentorship. Say that 5 times in a row. Long-term coaching, long-term mentorship. And even in your niche, I feel like women just want a 3 months and done. They want a 3 session and done. Like, but they hit life, they get older, they have different struggles, and I feel like long-term coaching should just become a thing. And we have worked together off and on right at 3 years, and that is a dedication that will continue to change your trajectory of your business and your life. And I want your clients to see that too. I want people that maybe even listen to this, episode, may say, "Oh, well, I need Erin because I want to get more fit. I want to get happier and I want to do that in a balanced way." And I just wanted to commend you on just committing to a long-term relationship with me and allowing me to, take you under my wing and help you, because not many people commit like that. And I think it should be a lesson for your clients too, that you're so committed.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. And like, I appreciate it so much. And something I was thinking about earlier is this phrase is coming to my mind. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that I learned from you pretty much every time we talk that I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it like that,
Yeah.
and we might be talking about something that I'm very familiar with, like carbs or a certain coaching idea or how to do a certain thing on Instagram reels. Maybe I already knew what it was, but you bring like a certain hold on. Edit that. What was I going to say? Okay. Anyway, you bring a certain like level of expertise and experience to all these different levels of business and different areas of business and coaching and being a dietitian, everything. It's just so nice to have another set of eyes looking at everything and helping you be the best. Because no matter how hard you push yourself, like I'm very type A. I like my house to look a certain way. I like to clean a certain way. I do things a certain way. And I do that in my business as well.
Yeah.
And so it can be scary sometimes to have like someone else's thoughts and opinions come in. But again, you don't know what you don't know. Someone else may have the most amazing idea to build on what you're already doing that can change your life, but also your clients. Like all I want is for my clients to get the absolute best results. And if I like basically refuse to get help on that and refuse to get better myself, how can I expect them to get better? Like it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. They're married. They go together.
Yep.
Well, I really enjoyed our conversation. I knew it'd be a good one. So I really appreciate you being on, Erin. And yeah, any last words?
Just thank you again so much for everything. And I'm so excited to see what we both have in store for this year.
Yes.